I don't know where to start, man. Maybe we could start with this Benny the Butcher, man. We were just listening to a new song that Benny put out a couple of days ago. Put out a visual for it. Well, not an actual visual, but it was more of clips. What's the name of the song? Is it "Welcome to the States"?
Let me pull it back up right quick. And yes, Welcome to the States is the
Welcome to
name
the
of
States.
it.
Yes. Well, Benny took on the Kendrick Lamar "We Cry Together" track. It was produced by Alchemist, right?
Of course.
Yes. So I love what he did on there. Benny's taking on more serious topics. He's talking about the Buffalo Massacre that
Mhm.
happened, a few weeks ago. Peace to everybody, the whole Buffalo, city of Buffalo, but especially the people involved, family members, and all of that. Such a sad, sad, terrible thing. But again, it was really cool to see Benny really go there because you could tell he was really touched and moved by that experience. It happened a few minutes away from his block, he said, right?
I mean, more or less, actually ran into some people down here that actually, they were an older white couple, but they were hip hop fans,
Mm-hmm.
And so we were having a conversation, and I actually put them on to Griselda because they actually used to live down here, but they moved back to Buffalo. And I was like, these guys are from East Side Buffalo. They were like, that's where the shooting happened. I was like, so it's really rough over there, huh? They were like, yeah. They were like, that's not like where you go, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And
That's
so,
interesting enough to know that there was somebody who was outside of that community that clearly, some witnesses were saying that he was around there days beforehand and he looked strange. And like you said, for it to be such a rough area, man, I put it this way, people just got to be on alert when somebody doesn't look like they're from around your parts, man. It's probably the case.
well, it's crazy, like we have spent a, you know, no, we've spent the entirety of our existence in America being racially profiled. And now we need to start like profiling, quite frankly, Caucasians coming into our neighborhoods, even though our neighborhoods are like, quote unquote, rougher or more impoverished, just because apparently, the thing to do now is to run in convenience stores and gas stations, grocery stores and churches and murder us in mass. It's funny how it happens in our communities like that first.
Yeah. Did the hold on? I'm seeing something in the chat. I think from Terminator 2. Did that Mount Rushmore project come out yet? Because we might need to talk about that Friday. Because we have Westmore. Excuse me. Because we have so much to talk about today.
Did Mount Westmore come out?
I
I know
think it did.
Capadonna released that album that we missed.
Okay. The Mount Westmore. Now they got a single, and that's Snoop Cube, E40, and Too Short. It's called
What's the
Subwoofer.
song?
Subwoofer.
No. That's the song from the Snoop Dogg
Oh no no no
algorithm.
no! You're right. That is.
Yeah,
That's
we're already
old.
familiar with that. That made
Yeah.
our top 20 songs list. That song's a
Yeah. I'm
banger.
tripping.
Yeah,
Not Subwoofer. I don't think it came out yet.
yeah, big subwoofer, right?
No. Yeah, that was something that was
Yeah,
already on there. Okay. All
yeah,
right.
that's fine.
Well, yeah. We're gonna get to that probably Friday, if it's out. But
Mhm.
yes, as far as that tragedy, that massacre, man. I mean, I appreciate the fact that Benny put pen to pad and he addressed pretty much everything that people are thinking. I think that's the great thing about social media too. Like these artists see what people are saying. They see that some are in these comment sections saying that that's hypocritical of them, but no, he addressed that as well.
No,
Um,
he did.
yeah, and he
He
addressed
did.
it very well. I think that the thing that's blaring here is the fact that he makes songs like this very well. I wish he would do this a little bit more. Terminator 2 says it's out. Well, all right, we'll definitely talk about it Friday.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's out.
Yeah, it's out.
Um, I said, I mean, I was like, hey, didn't we ask for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we
LP
asked
with the
for.
super chat says, appreciate the super chat too, LP. He says, won't be here too long. It's clear Rolling Stone had a problem with traditional hip hop. Their top 10 albums are So Spacey, Beat Minus, what is that? Ready to Die, Wu Tang, and Tribe. And those aren't too traditional either. It's gentrified. Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Ready to Die being number one, I thought was odd. I mean, and I love Ready to Die, but I thought that was very odd. And the
No,
Chronic being
hey,
at 40, I thought that was wild too. I mean, we're gonna get to this, and
oh,
I
oh,
have
what'd you
hella
say was
notes.
40?
The Chronic.
They put the Chronic at 40?
They put the Chronic at 40, and they put like 2001. Let me see, 2001's at 13. I said this to a friend of mine during the Super Bowl. I feel like they're trying to replace the legacy of the Chronic with 2001. Once again, revisionist history, and
Well, that's because
somehow Still DRE has turned into Dre's hallmark song when it's really G thing. You know what I mean?
well, let's stop and unpack a couple things about that right quick. Um, First of all, on the Chronic, you have songs like "The Day the Niggas Took Over" and "Little Ghetto Boy," and so the rhetoric on 2001 kind of fits more into those conformed and sometimes confirmed conspiracy theories about how music is audited in terms of how the more violent and buoyant and misogynistic that it comes off, the more that the media will take a hold of it and give it more gravitas.
It's more palatable, and
Correct.
it fits the agenda a
Hold
lot
on, hold on.
better.
Hold on, but when you say palatable, the reason I didn't even use that description or depiction is like, according to who? You
Exactly.
feel me? You feel me?
You know. You know.
Who's deciding what's palatable? I believe we
Well,
discussed some of that last
well,
week.
again, look who's listed is, and this is part of certain media's job to push these narratives so that we go along with it. I mean, I was telling somebody earlier, like at the end of the day, and we're gonna get to this even more in depth. I don't want to jump around too much, but people on Twitter were saying, "Yo, you should spend 5 minutes on this." No, 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 no. The thing is, man, when it comes to publications and journalists, all you have is your credibility. Once that's gone, you don't have a publication. You remember
It's
Chris
very much
Bouchard was
it's
on? Go ahead.
it's very much like being an MC. Like being, I mean, when
Yeah,
you are an MC, you are a writer, but like when you're a journalist and you're a writer, I mean, okay, so here's the thing about it and where things align themselves. It's like, well, a lot of guys in hip hop don't like the journalistic media, but the reality of the matter is that we're all writers and your integrity's on the line.
exactly. Every time. Every time you do a review, every time we sit here on a Friday and talk about an album, you know, your integrity is up there. I mean, depending on how you handle it. Ask Pitchfork Media. You know what I mean? Like they put out these articles that they didn't think anybody was gonna check. And before, people were like, okay, Pitchfork. Now it's yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. And once you get that label, everything decreases from that point. You remember when Chris Bouchard got so mad at the fact that Kevin Durant tweeted out, "You don't have my number, man. You ain't talked to me." That that takes a hit of his credibility. If you get on air and say, "Yeah, I talked to KD. We had an exchange for hour or whatever," and then the actual source comes up and says, "Nigga, I never talked to you." Your credibility goes down. And Chris Bouchard was livid, as he should have. I mean, he's a journalist. All you got is your credibility when you're a journalist.
Right.
And as a publication, all you got is your credibility. You can't
Well,
do
no,
no
no, no.
list if you don't have no credibility.
I'm not going to say all you have is credibility when you have the appropriate financial backing. Your
Well, even
financial
with that, the
backing
fact.
matters. No, 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 because there are places in media outlets that exist that really don't practice journalistic integrity that thrive, and there are
Right.
also companies that I would say are dwindling that stay alive because they are financially backed by the right people. Even though the journalistic and artistic and creative integrity of the publication, even though most things are even digital media now, it's still dwindled down, and they're still being financed appropriately by the powers that be.
Well,
So.
that money dwindles too when they know that you can no longer control the narrative. You know what I mean? Because at
So
that point you're useless. Like what do they invest in publications for in the first place? They want to be able to control the conversation and control the narrative, and the only way you can do that is if you have credibility with the audience. And when you no
well, you see,
longer have that, Yeah.
I think that's I think that's where kind of like LeBron is winning, where other athletes have never really won before. He is able to step into different mediums because I think he really approaches things outside of his sphere
Hmm.
with an integrity.
Yeah.
Like he understands the integrity of the other things that he does when he steps into them. And so like he's a great example of just like the integrity in terms of quality of a product, like across the board.
Well, that's where we're at right now when it comes to social media and when it comes to, everybody having their own voice, even shows like ours where we're reading you guys' comments and, putting what you guys are saying into the conversation. You can't ignore the people anymore. And their
No, no, no,
voices
no,
are
no.
out there, and your credibility is predicated on not what you're saying per se, but just your ability to hold the conversation with the public in general. Because if you ignore people and you just pick and choose the people that you want to respond to, they know you might be on some BS.
That's true. No, all,
LP
all of
with the
those
super
things.
chat says, if the Source made a top 100 rock albums, nobody would care. The rockers would go mad if they put Katy Perry over Metallica. That's what Rolling Stone did. I want to address that too.
Hmm.
LP says they put Ready to Die Low in Theory and Wu Tang to pander. Tabernet with the super chat says, I love A2HH. Y'all get me through my work every stream. Also, shout out to LP, Mad Max, Jay Short, Terminator 2, and all the other super chats. Celtics in 6. Okay. Shout out to you two. We appreciate the love and appreciate everybody who comes here consistently. Like I said, we're going to delve into this list. But what I do want to say to LP's statement about Rolling Stone and them judging hip hop albums, they're a music publication, correct?
Last time I checked,
And
barely,
hip hop is the number one genre in music right now, correct?
without a doubt, and has been that way for quite
It's
some time. I
been that
believe
way
now.
for some time. The numbers
Been that way
back
for a
that.
minute. Yeah, yeah.
So we can no longer bail out these musical publications in a sense where we're saying they don't know what they're talking about. If you don't know what you're talking about, you don't need to be ranking anything. And
Well,
you
you
don't
said
need to be ranking anything hip hop, and you need to hire on some people who know hip hop. So you're not
no,
going to
and
get
you're
that
right. And so
excuse.
let's so let's unpack something right there. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Mike.
No, no,
Finish
you
your thought.
good.
Go ahead. Are you sure?
I'm
Okay.
done. Yeah.
So, my dear friend Andrew, who also just so happens to be white. Once again, yes, Coop has white friends, dear white friends, actually. Don't be so surprised. He sent me, we're both, I told you, Mike, we ran our high school newspaper together. I've known Andrew since I was 15 years old. He's a writer, he's a teacher now. We're always into reading and writing. And he's a hip hop fan as well. He's a music fan overall. And he shot me another article where this writer, Paul Thompson, does an excellent job of covering Wu Tang Forever. And when I
Which
read
was
this
left off
article,
the top 200, by the way.
huh?
Which was left off the top 200 greatest hip hop albums list, by the way.
Well, they know nothing. So that's how that goes.
But go ahead.
But I just want to do that to juxtapose a little bit, just to show that it's like, well, we're not asking that you be black or be from the projects to cover hip hop properly. I'm going to read you the comments that I read that I texted Andrew right after I got done reading this article.
Mm-hmm.
I said, this is a brilliant article and he knows his shit. He was in my head more than a few times, actually, as in like the things in the article. And I'm going to send you the article. It's on The Ringer.
Okay. The Ringer
I
does a
said,
good job.
yeah, The Ringer does a great job. And he's freelanced, I believe, for Rolling Stone and GQ as well. And I want to read more of his writing. He did an excellent job. I said he covers the meth not being interested in rap. I was like, I can hear that. I said Ghost being the star. I said Jizza disappearing on disc 2. MGM being the best song. I said those are all my mental notes. I said they're the same as his, and I love his writing style. So you don't have to like be from a certain place to connect. And so when we're out here auditing these people, we're auditing the way that they're doing their journalism, because I noticed that he did his homework before he wrote this article.
Yeah,
It
well,
doesn't matter where
listen.
you're
We're
from.
just
When
like
you're
with
a
the
dope
music.
writer, I'm sorry.
No,
Just let
I
me
was
finish.
gonna
You
say,
go.
just like with the music, we're not judging the person, we're judging the work.
Right. When you're
Yeah.
a dope writer and you do your research and you do your homework and you do your job and you can actually write, well, guess what? It doesn't matter really where the fuck you're from.
No.
Mm-mm.
No. That
No.
that doesn't matter. Like I said, it's the end result, it's the work, and it's the integrity that you put
Yeah.
behind it. We've
Yeah.
read some of those articles, let's just say Nas specifically, right? The
Mm-hmm.
tone and the venom that are in some of the verbiage in these
Yes.
articles,
It's
it's
the
different.
tone.
It's coming from a whole nother place. We're not asking anybody to like everything, right? That's everybody's gonna have all kind of opinions. That's what music is. Music is subjective, but it's the way you approach it. And for somebody, let's just say like a Nas again, who has earned this in this game, regardless if you like his music or the album specifically that he put out to a crazy degree, you need to approach it with some journalistic integrity and some respect overall.
Yeah.
Bringing up, allegations of abuse in a album review is ridiculous. Where
So
he
this is
stuff that he didn't even address on these albums, like those are the things that we're talking about when we're
right.
talking about journalism getting to a point where it needs to get checked.
Right. Like Paul Thompson is 58 years old. He's a white guy. He graduated from North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And I'm looking at some of his other writing, and hip hop is not even his spear, but he's a great writer.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. And he did an accurate job of covering this Wu-Tang Forever thing. And I would, based on his age and the time and the fact that he's covering Wu-Tang Forever, because they were on tour with Rage the Machine, that he was probably a Rage fan. And that's probably how he got into Wu-Tang. I would venture to say that.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
A lot of people are saying a lot of things in the chat that I have in my notes. One thing I see, they left out ATLians and Southern Playlistic, but Stankonia got number 2 on the all-time. That is very problematic. Extremely problematic. But before we get into that, are you cool with us going into a little Kanye segue real quick while we get more people in the room? Because I want y'all to hit those thumbs up so we can get more and more people in here to talk about this top, the greatest albums of all time.
No. Talk your yay thing. I'm gonna come in. I'm doing my little RZA dig. So maybe between the Kanye thing, by the time I'm finished with this RZA dig, we can scope all that out.
So what's
And
the
we can,
RZA dig? Because Kanye and RZA are very similar in the sense where I remember growing up, people used to say RZA was the best rapping producer of all time. That's changed, but
we're gonna get into that in my notes in a second, Mike. But how about this? The dig that I'm having right now and how I'm feeling is actually probably about to get Kanye moved up a notch on his birthday. So
Okay.
How about that?
Oh, cool.
Right.
Cool. I'm with
Yeah.
that.
No, I'm a little pissed off right now, Mike.
Mad Max
Remember
says, LOL, Rolling Stone needs to get struck by lightning for this list. They
Remember how it was
disrespected.
Wu-Tang Forever last week, Mike?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I ain't feeling like that today.
Really? Okay, let me get to these super chats real quick. Mad
Not
Max
feeling.
says, Rolling Stone needs to be struck by lightning for this list. They disrespected hip-hop in a way they wouldn't do any other genre. I can feel that. LP says, hip-hop is a universal language. Anybody can comment, in my opinion, but you have to at least understand it. They disrespect cultural classics. That's the disconnect. I agree. Anybody who could press play and who could put themselves there and understand what's going on and feel. It's a feel. It's about, I don't even want to say soulfulness, but it's a feeling that you get when you hear something or something hits you to a certain degree. And I think everybody can relate to those things. Hip hop is like you said, a universal language, just like music is. Those timeless themes, as Coop would say.